Good morning. Hi, Julia. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Leslie. How are you?
Good, thanks. Where are you? You're in Austria, yeah?
No, I'm in Vancouver.
Oh,
Canada.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? Hi, Trifa.
How are you doing?
Good,
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Good. As cases of coronavirus surge in the US.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not been good. You guys are doing well in Canada, though, it seems.
Yeah, the province that I'm living in really so good. BC is so really good. It is great. The curve is like flattened down, but the others province really not so well. But we did good.
Yeah, it's every day they send us these emergency alerts on our phones. So your phones go like a loud siren, and it's never good news. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Norma, hello. Marlene.
Hello, Leslie.
Hi.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, Magdalena. Magda.
Oh, Magda's on. Hi, Magda.
Oh, so nice to see you.
Yes. How are you?
There you are.
Where you are? Where are you? In Argentina or in Florida?
No, I'm in Miami. I'm in Miami now.
Okay.
How are things in Miami, Magda?
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
People they don't like to wear a mask because it's too hot. So yesterday we have I think 6,000 positive in one day, right? And it's rising day by day.
Same in California.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, so do we in Mexico. It's terrible, terrible.
Hello, Alfred.
Hi, Alfred.
Hello.
Morgen.
Ja,
Wie geht es
Abend.
Ihnen?
Danke, gut. I just have to check how many infections we had yesterday.
It's too much.
Can do that. Yeah.
It seems you're doing okay in Austria, though.
Yeah, we are doing fine, but we have a bit more. We had about 20 to 30 per day, and now we are at 60 per day.
Well, try thousands per day.
Oh.
It's really bad here.
Really bad, yeah. And in Israel, I also think they are raising.
Where?
Israel.
I don't know. I haven't heard on Israel. I'll have to call my friends today. But they went on serious lockdown. You know, like you couldn't go out of the house, period. So I don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah. They shut some schools again, and so. Yeah, this is really a danger, and I'm not informed about things are going on in Vietnam, but I don't that it is quiet there.
It's very quiet. They've done a very good job. Their borders still are not open yet. But it's looking good for Vietnam for us in February if the rest of the world can travel.
Yeah, if Americans can travel, for instance.
This is true.
Yeah,
you might all go, and I'll be on video with you the whole time.
Yeah, and we will show Vietnam by video.
By video, I'll be jealous. You know, I'm always hopeful. I'm always feeling like things are going to turn out okay, and so I'm still hopeful.
Yeah, I hope you're right. Yeah,
I hope so too. We're just joining. We had some new people join this week, which is great. I love seeing everybody on my screen because you've been with us for the last couple of webinars. So it's been quite nice. I feel like I know everybody now. All right, let's let people join, but I think we can go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Hi, nice to see all of you. I get my updates from around the world on how everything is and how everyone's doing. Alfred, always good to see you. If I can ask everyone to please mute their microphones until you want to talk or ask a question, that would be very helpful. Sorry? Someone said they couldn't hear me. Can everyone hear me other than this one person?
Yeah, I think there was somebody who did not yet mute the microphone and spoke to somebody else.
Okay,
It was
so
in German.
yeah, yeah. All right, so let's get started. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for our second session of our summer series. Thank you. And Alfred, I will turn it over to you to get started.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you all for being here, for your interest, for your interest of continuing education and deepening the own existence and deepening the work we do with our clients and patients. And this is really something great to widen the horizon and deepen the experience and the feelings and have a better connection to oneself, which allows us to be better with the other people. And so last time we spoke about the dealing and living with limitations, and that limitations bring along quite a relief and help us to concentrate at what really matters, and to get engaged and committed, which means at the same time to exclude all the other possibilities and invitations and chances and opportunities which we have around us. This is really great to center our being here, because we can only dance on one wedding. We can only be one person at the same time. And is in this unifying myself with the concrete situation by exclusion of all the other possibilities, there happens really true deep existence, which is then, as a consequence, rewarding. It gives us back a lot. We give, but we receive at the same time when we limit ourselves to that what we do right now, when we choose our time and we take the time, when we decide. And decision means set a boundary. And this was the topic last time, and we saw that this living with boundaries and with limitations is something which is fundamentally connected with the being itself, with life itself. All what is has boundaries. All what lives only because there are membranes which separate, which keep the own and differentiate from the other. But differentiation does not mean not being in contact, not being in exchange, not being in dialogue. It allows dialogue. This is something great if we have such a view of the limitations. Limitation simply means there is something going on right now, and when we come to the end of the one thing, it is a change, a commuting to something else, but there is always something as long as we live. And this time, we will focus on the capacities, on what it means to be capable. Let me start with an introduction to open up the field, to stimulate your fantasies, your experiences, your thoughts. What does it mean to be capable? Is there a myth connected with capacities? We all like to be capable, because who has capacities is equipped, gifted, trained, skilled, a capable personality. This, we have esteem for that person. This is a useful person. This person is most often liked and often needed. Whereas incapable personalities are devaluated or are not very much esteemed. A capable personality, when I feel myself as capable, this raises my self-esteem also, not only the esteem of others. I also have bigger consideration for myself. To be capable means to have a potential. It's not only being equipped, having tools at hand, being skilled. It also means to have something at hand which is a potential. It is like having many horsepowers in the car, or to have money, to have knowledge, to have power. Maybe this is more a male vision of look at capabilities. Maybe it's more a female look to say I'm capable to truly love, to understand, to feel, to catch things, to foster, to groom, to care, to help, to support. I do not make it a gender issue. This is, of course, also something what male people should be capable of. But what is the potential? When to have a potential, do I have potential? Am I aware of potentials which I have, of the power which is connected with having potentials? What does it mean to have a potential? A potential means to be able to change a possibility into a reality. A possibility is something which is not yet there. It is not yet a being. It is possible. It means it is close to reality, but it is not reality. It is close to reality. A possibility, if there is a high probability that it comes to rain, this means it is possible. It's better to take the umbrella with me. When something is possible, something is not yet, but is likely or has a high chance to become real. This is something really fantastic to think about, what it means to have a possibility, to have a potential. Potential means to change something what is possible. For instance, I can call my mother. This is a possibility. And if I have a mobile phone at hand, if I have the time, then I can decide and say, well, I can make that real. A possibility is to bring my partner a bunch of flowers. It is almost always possible. But to make it real means to bring it into being, to make it an actuality, to make it a given, to take it out from the mere futility the mere possibility that it may vanish, that it may pass by and nothing happened. And bring it into reality, which means that it is there and it happened and it was forever. Forever, for all the future, for the eternity. I called my mother, I bought a bunch of flowers and gave it to my partner. I talked with my friend. When I made the possibility real, I took it down, as Nikolai Hartmann says, I took it down from the heaven of possibilities. I took one star and brought it onto the earth. This means realization, to make it real. And when we have a potential, we can convert possibilities into realities. We can move something. We can attain something. We can reach something. We can reach a goal. To have the potential makes us a creator. We create something new. Somehow, having a potential makes us a bit a hero of the situation. And those who have the capacity to do something, to be a professional, who can fix the car, who can fly the airplane, who can repair the broken bone, who can operate the cancer, have been capable and having the potential makes me somehow outstanding, makes me a hero. Because it is beneficial. I can make things to the better. But, of course, we also have the capacity to do harm. Human beings nowadays have the capacity to destroy all life on this earth. With all the bombs which we have can have an overkill potential. We have the capacity to kill each other, to betray, to damage, to do harm. This is also a capacity to produce something negative. Being aware of these two sides of capacities makes us clear that capacity itself is not ethical. It's not value related, but it's value neutral. If it is a valuable capacity, this depends on the person, on the intention. Capacity simply means to have the potential to bring possibility into a reality. Frankl liked to compare it with a knife. And he says the knife itself can be used to cut bread or to kill a person. The knife itself does not determine my use of it. The knife itself gives me the possibility that I can cut some sausage, some meat, some bread, some vegetable, whatever. And it can be very helpful to have a knife to open up or to clean some food. But it can be very dangerous. So we take the knife away from the child because the child, the 1-year-old, does not oversee all the potentials of such a knife. To have the capacity to be capable simply means that I can be effective, that I can produce an effect something. But if it is good or not, this is another theme. So let us take this as an introduction into the field. You may have maybe lots of associations. It may bring the theme closer to your hands and that you can say, ah, yeah, this is true. Capacity is combined with having possibilities and having a potential. And it can be very useful, but it can be dangerous as well. I would like to go on in the next section to speak about the existential importance of capacities. To the existential importance to be able to move something to the better. This is what matters existentially. If we move something to the worse, then we have primarily an ethical and motivational problem. In principle, that what we describe here is also true for the negative capacities, but it is more useful to work it through on the positive capacities, because these capacities we need for ourselves and for our work. Let us have a bit a closer look at capacities from our own experience. Let us ask ourselves, what am I good at? What are my skills? Am I aware of them? Am I able to write down 1 or 2 examples? And finally, what do I experience? What do I feel when doing what I'm good at? This might bring the theme closer to us. I give you just 1 minute to reflect a bit. What are the first things which come into my mind when I ask myself, what am I good at? Where do I have the feeling, this I'm really capable of? Here I feel I'm skilled. when we look at that, this may be most probably connected with what we do most, in our working situation or at home, or our hobbies. The one may say, I'm good at playing the piano, or running, or talking. I'm very successful at my job. I'm good at cleaning the flat. There are many things we are able to do, even though we might not see them as that, or will not accept them as a skill. From an existential perspective, however, they are relevant. Through every being able to, something great happens. We take part in being. We intensify our life. We are more when we are capable to do something. And we may even identify our abilities as part of our character and being. Instead of seeing them as something learned or acquired, even if they are, I can see who I am by what I'm able to do. What I'm able to do is equivalent to who I am. It has an overlap. Who I am is, of course, more, but it is highly connected. It corresponds to me. Skills that comply with our personality are acquired far more easily than those that do not. So my capacities are corresponding to me. When I am not gifted in music, it's much harder to learn an instrument, to play an instrument, or to sing. But when I'm gifted in it, I learn it almost automatically. And here we already detected a bigger connection of capacities with my being. We can say, as a result, I experience my being through what I'm able to do. Every ability conveys a piece of being. If I'm able to do something, I am simply more. I'm more because I can. America is more when we can say, yes, we can. This was a very famous slogan of Obama. And this has deep roots in our being. Of course, age affects our abilities to do things. Tasks that once were easy can now seem very hard. And this may raise the question, am I still here? Am I still real? Am I still in the being? When our abilities decline, we start departing from our being. Here we see it a task of existential therapy to communicate that we live with what is and don't wait until our wishes are fulfilled. And we do not wait until everything is perfect before we begin to live. We try to gain and regain this simplicity and humility and fight against all demands and the needs, fantasies, wounds and deficits that are behind them. That we remain and become so simple that we can even experience walking as an ability. This is a principle of counseling in psychotherapy. To live with what is there, to live with what we can, and not to expect or to wait, to wait until all expectations, ideas, wishes, fantasies are fulfilled, that we start living as incomplete as we are. That we make ourselves so simple and take on this humility, that we are content with what we have and do the best with it. But let us continue. What exactly does it mean to be able to? Do I only accept those skills that I'm able to perform with virtuosity? Does breathing count as something I'm able to do? Why does heartbeat not count as an ability? Because heartbeat is something that happens under the guidance of the autonomous nervous system. I cannot decide about it. It is distant to my will. But breathing can be done voluntarily, decidedly. I can stop breathing at least for a minute or so. Then the autonomous nervous system is taking over the guidance. I cannot decidedly stop breathing and die. Sometimes I had patients who had this phobia that they could die because they will not breathe enough. And you can let them try. It is impossible. The nature is stronger than our will. Of course, I can strangulate myself and then I can't breathe. But with an open access to my lungs, with open bronchs, I cannot deliberately, voluntarily stop breathing forever. So but breathing, is it a capacity or not? When we look at our capacities, this depends, of course, of how I assess these skills, how I am accustomed doing them. When I am accustomed to sit in a wheelchair, being bound to a wheelchair, and finally my legs are healed again and I can start walking again, walking becomes a very important ability. When I'm accustomed to breathe easily, I don't consider it strongly as a capacity. But when I suffer from asthma, for instance, then I may become aware through this contrast what big ability it is. I don't have to do everything, to be able to do everything, or to do everything perfectly. Being able to means simply, I'm able to do something. I can have an effect. I would like to try to define what it means being able to, what the capacity is. To be able to, the essence of being able to is to actively influence something existing in a way that transforms it into something that I intended. To influence something existing in a way that transforms it. This is my potential, that I can transform something into something desired, wanted, intended. And this requires know-how and power. In all capacity is know-how and a power. I say, or we discussed it as transforming something into something wanted, intended. Of course, we can make errors. But is this also what we call a capacity? To commit an error is not what we call to be a capacity because it is not intentional, not wanted. And therefore, it's not a capacity, but a failure of a capacity. Of course, we say, I can make an error in the sense of it is possible. I have this potential, but to name it a capacity, this does not correspond to our normal understanding of what a capacity is. The opposite of capacity is powerlessness. And now we understand better why the feeling of not being able to do anything, this powerlessness, is experienced as unpleasant and ultimately threatening. Because I'm no longer able to experience my being present. I lose the ground I'm standing on. In powerlessness, I become less. the feeling of I exist shrinks away. It is as though I'm not there. If in a situation like this, I feel like I'm not able to do this, then life is snuffed out of me. I vanish as a person. Every being able to, every ability is the opposite of to powerlessness. Power means being able to accomplish something, to achieve something. Let us stay here for a moment and think about power, which is something which comes along with the capacity. Power. Is that something I like? Do I want to have power, to be powerful? How do I handle power? Psychologists often take a negative view on power because power involves the danger of turning into violence. This is a distinction to make. Power is not equal to violence. Violence is recklessness, reckless power. Power which does not consider the border, the boundary, the opposition of the other, but which is breaking through the boundary, occupying the country of the other. Violence is against the will, against the intention, against the value of the other. In violence, of course, there is power. Violence without power is not violence. It cannot become active. But power is not by itself violence. Power is neutral. Violence is not considering the other, and therefore it's ethically critical. Not always. Sometimes we apply violence, for instance, to save the life of a 2-year-old child running onto the street. And we run back and take its arm and push it back violently because the child wants to catch the ball, has another intention. And to save its life, we need violence. It is violent against its will, but it is a respective will. It is an ethical application of violence. There are exceptions of violence, but normally violence is ethically not corresponding to the partners in that deal. But power is neutral. We need power in order to accomplish something. As a counselor, as a therapist, what I say is powerful for the client. The client comes, trusts, pays, is open to accept information, questions, maybe even suggestions, and believes them has a higher probability to believe because the counselor is an authority to them. So we need power to accomplish something. And we need people aware and confident of their power, as they will know how to handle it responsibly. Rather than people unaware or discontent with being powerful. If we stay unaware of our power, we let ourselves become powerless. So we should be befriended with power and recognize and be aware and know about where we are powerful. It is important to know the power which we have when we are driving a car. And it is important to know the power which has our authority as a counselor. Otherwise, if we overlook this influence, this potential, it is more dangerous. A question which arises here sometimes is the question, is ability always an activity? Do human beings always need to be active? Does this not lead to human beings being driven? It is difficult to simply be. Being able to simply be. This is not easy. But we can say every ability is an activity, even the ability to let something be. It is an ability that I need to exercise, maybe. It is not just something that happens. I'm not the victim of circumstances. I'm not pacified. If I'm able to let something be, this does not mean that I'm passive. I decide for it. I decide for something, and to make a decision is an ability. And this is why an ability is always an action. This is why ability makes us active. And then there we can observe a dialectic of not being able. For instance, a woman cannot separate. But she is also not able to live with someone whom she cannot trust. She cannot endure this, but also cannot endure the separation. She cannot decide either way. She can only proceed in one way, to live partially separated. But this too, she would not be able to endure for very long, because it is so painful. But there is one chance that she may come to an ability because she does not have enough firmness for a clear decision. She requires the experience of not being able as a solid ground in order to change something. So it is okay in our counseling, in our own life, to experience the inability. I'm not able to endure this for a longer time. Since I cannot separate and since I cannot live together, she, for the time being, chose a way somewhere in between. And for a certain time, it is possible to live that way, which includes both values, which are in the separation, which are in the living together. There is something good in both when I cannot decide. And there is something very bad when I cannot live with it. So she suffers from an inability to make a clear decision. But it is a clear decision to say, since I cannot go away, and since I'm not able to restart the relationship, I leave it halfway for now. This corresponds to my inner and outer reality for now. And when it becomes harder and harder to bear that, to live with that, the time becomes mature and I grow in it and I become clearer and clearer what to do. So sometimes inabilities look like being a cage where we cannot escape. And it is important in counseling that we make clear to our clients that this is a decision what you do. It is a decision for now, it's not forever. It's not the last decision, but it is the decision for this week, for this month. And this is, here you can live your capacity. You are capable to do that, and you decide for it. And then let it grow. Experience this situation. Look at how it feels like, how it looks like, how it develops. And then you will become clearer and clearer what you want to do. There is quite a philosophical good saying of Martin Heidegger in Being and Time, where he says, Dasein means my being here, me as a person. I, Dasein, exists as an entity for which in its being, that being is itself an issue. I am an entity. I am a being for which in my being itself is an issue. Essentially, ahead of itself, ahead of myself, in Dasein, when I'm really me, I'm always ahead of myself. Dasein has projected itself upon its potentiality for being before going on to any mere consideration of itself. In its projection, it reveals itself as something which has been thrown. It has been thrownly abandoned to the world and falls into it concernedly as care, that is, as existing in the unity of the projection which has been fallingly thrown. The entity has been disclosed as a there. This is very philosophical. You like it for sure. But what the essential of what Heidegger is saying here, that it is a projection. My being here, my life, is a projection upon my potentiality for being. I can be. To live means constantly, I can be here. This is a very deep fundamental capacity which we have and which we normally do not consider. It's already quite a lot when we say, I can breathe. But even more basic is this, I can be. We would think that being is something that happens by itself. Yes, to a certain degree, this is right. I am born, I am, as philosophers say, thrown into this world. I'm there. This is something that happens to me. I haven't even been asked if I want to be. I came into this being through my parents, through nature, through life, without my decision. But now I'm here. And now the question is, can I be? I can be means I feel the potential. I feel that I have skills, tools, capacities, knowledge, power, energy. When I feel that, then I can say, I can be. The feeling of I can be is totally different to the feeling that I must be. I'm just there. I'm not asked. The feeling that I have this gift, this power, this potential, and I can decide to be, to wanting to be here, to continue my being. This is combined with the feeling of inner freedom. Life is then a gift. My being here is something great and is not a prison, a cage, a damnation, but it is a huge opportunity. I have a possibility. I can be here. Do you have the feeling that I can be here in this relationship where I live? Do I have the feeling that I can be in this working place? Because I'm not bullied, I'm not fought, I'm accepted. People let me be. And I see that I have the appropriate capacities. And so this is a great fit. I can be in this position where I am. I'm not over-demanded. I have the capacity to rule this team or this enterprise or to this job. When I'm over-demanded, then I have the feeling it's too much. I cannot be. I will fail, I will break down, I cannot bear it. I cannot be under these circumstances. And this raises anxiety. Anxiety is the outcome of the perception that I cannot be. When I feel under these circumstances I cannot be, these circumstances do not allow me to live, to overcome, to not lose my job, for instance, then anxiety arises. It's a signal your being is in danger. Anxiety always says your being is in danger. Your physical being, maybe, or more often, your spiritual being, in our intentions, in what we want, in what we wish, what we like to do, what we like to continue. When all this is in danger, we experience anxiety and fear. Fear is the concretization of anxiety. I fear a specific outcome, a specific situation. I fear to fail in the exam. I fear to be dismissed because of the consequences of the corona epidemic. Then this is fear. Anxiety is just a basic feeling of insecurity. The question is, can I be here? Can I be present here? Can I breathe here? Can I move here? Can I stop for a moment and really feel into this question? Can I be in my life, in my family, in my working place, in my body? But what does being here mean? How is it different from the following sentence? I'm here. I am here. What is the difference? It starts with an experience. I'm able to experience a rising feeling of freedom. If I bring to my mind, I'm able to be present, to be here. I can be here. I experience then freedom. Because I can does not mean I must. And tranquility arises. But tranquility arises only when I can breathe freely and when I can feel I'm able to be here. Otherwise, I will experience unrest, tension, stress, or even fear. Can I be here? There is this inner experience of freedom and tranquility. And there is an experience of the outer world. That the conditions of the external world let me be, then I can be here. When I am bullied at my working place, I cannot be there anymore. They harm me so much that it would be masochistic to remain. But when I feel well protected, I have enough space for myself and I can rest safely on my ground. Nothing is threatening me. Can I be here? What is my ability in this situation? What does it make me feel peaceful when saying I'm able to be here? Is it really something I'm able to do? Am I simply here? Or am I able to be here? And am I simply here? Am I able, or am I able to be here? I'm able when I can say I'm able to cope with the conditions of my surroundings. I can move freely. And I can let myself be. Then I'm able to be. Then I can be me. I can survive being me. In this context, the latent doing can be seen as allowing or letting. An action, a letting be. In this case, it is also something I do. If I'm able to be there, then I don't need to do anything in order to protect my existence. I can focus on being and on what exists around me. Dealing with being, just the last phrase and then we make a short break. Dealing with the being is central for our existence. Enjoying the end of working on the beach in front of the house, like in older times, very central for our existence. To learn in the raising age to switch over from activity to a pure being. This is often only acquired late in life, at the point when previously easy actions become harder and harder. In our inabilities, we are left to enjoy life, to simply be. Hopefully, when not being hindered by pain or disease. Dealing with my being, letting be, is central for our existence. Taking time to enjoy the end of a workday. To let things be. And then we can experience I can be. And I can be is much more than I am. I can be means I have the potential and I have a capacity to be able to be. I can contribute something to my being. I am somehow superior to the simple given and fact. Let us have a small break here, 5 minutes, to take a breath, to ponder a bit on this, and then we will continue and deepen this. So,
Great. Thank you, Alfred.
Thank you.
We'll come back at 11 minutes past the hour.
Okay.
Thank you. So you guys can go ahead and leave your computers as is.
Yeah.
Shall we get back, Alfred?
Good. Are there any questions so far after this break? Maybe some questions came up. I will try to give you a chance at the end of the lecture also to ask back. But if there are some urgent or immediate questions, let's have a look at them so that you can follow easily and be close to the content we are speaking about. We are now coming to the very essential part of ability and capacity. So then we are still under the question, can I be here? This basic existential understanding of capacity. I am, but can I be? Do I feel this potential? Do I feel that I can contribute something? That I have a capacity, a skill? And we see that there are elements from the inner world and elements from the outer world. And finally, me, who decides about it. And I can also let myself be. So to be able to be, we need to see that this capacity to be able to be, or to be able to do anything in general, is standing like on two legs. It needs sufficient skills and strength to survive, and a place that offers multiple opportunities that allow and enable me to be. It needs an internal enabling and an external enabling. The strength and knowledge, the pouvoir and savoir, and the external to have opportunities in this world. From a basic perspective, every motivation, our being in this world, our capacity consists of two parts. I share the screen now. I hope this works. Leslie, can you open up my sharing the screen, please? I hope you're around.
I don't know if I can do that.
Can you share my screen?
I can share a screen.
Yeah. Can you share my, or can you open my sharing the screen?
It won't allow me to open your screen, but if you send it to me right now, then I can open it on mine.
Hi, Andrea. Leslie, you have to stop sharing your screen so Dr. Langley can push the button share screen on his screen.
Let's try that. See if that works, Alfred.
Okay, let's
Hi.
give a
It's Andrea. I have a share content active button. I think you should have one too.
I have a share content, a share screen.
Try your share screen now, Alfred.
Let me try. I can share. Do you see this
Yes.
picture?
Yes,
Yes,
we got it. Great.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
we're able to
you.
see. Yes.
Thanks for the advice and help, everyone. It's team effort.
Yeah, it's so great to have so many people with capacities in this
There you go.
group. Yeah, every motivation, every being able to has two parts. You see a personal part, which is up to me, and a situational part, which is up to the circumstances. To be able to means that I have skills and strengths, ability, capacity, or savoir and pouvoir. Savoir in French means the knowledge, and pouvoir, the power. My skills enable me to act. My strength enables me to endure and to have the power to move something. And there is a situational part. It means the conditions, the possibilities, the opportunities must allow me to apply my capacities. And that I can accept the conditions and be with them. Then I'm able, then I can do something. So for instance, to take a simple example, I may have the skill to play piano and not to be too sick so that I have the strength that I can play piano. But this is possible only when there is a piano. When people do not hinder me to play the piano. So to apply my capacity, my skill needs favorable outer circumstances which give space, which allow it to come to realization. And of course, this intrinsic part can be inhibited by diseases, anxieties, inexperience, instabilities, worthlessness, numbness, when I feel I have no right, not important, when it doesn't have meaning, prospects, future, then I do not feel capable. I'm too worthless, too numb. This is the intrinsic part of ability and motivation. The feeling I'm able to has this inner part which depends on me, and this outer part is extrinsic part of motivation. These are the two legs or roots of motivation. Motivation means always, basically, I feel the capacity. Motivation is more, but the basis of any motivation is to feel the capacity to see how the world and me, my existence is intertwined. And this is the basis for freedom. So we can switch it back now and stop share screen. How can I stop it? Oh, here, I see. Yeah, thank you. So you see, to be able to is something which does not only depend from me, it does not only depend from the circumstances. It needs this combination, this intertwining of outer and inner conditions. There are some implications now from this. The most basic ability is to be able to, at the very least, endure a situation. The conditions, to hold my ground against adversive conditions. This requires having the strength as well as the skills to withstand these conditions with my being. Then I endure the situation. And this is the most basic ability. I can endure. It is a capacity. I can endure the hassles in my family. I can endure the shouting or the constant seeking for attention of my children or so. I can endure my colleague. I can endure my job. Then I can be there. This is a capacity. It is a capacity which is not very fashionable, not very well considered nowadays. It is a very basic capacity. And it has another implication, this I can be. The ability is always linked to our concrete existence. Is bound to a concrete location. I can is always linked to a here and now, to concrete situations. And being at a specific location implies recognizing the location's conditions and submitting to them. If failing to cope with these conditions, then I am at the wrong place. Then I have to relocate myself. For instance, my workplace. If I feel that this is not a good place, then I should change it. Many people suffer from a lack of capacity because they are at the wrong place. Any plant must have the right place to be able to thrive. And so the human being, am I at the right place in my working place? If I do not have a good earth, I cannot thrive. Am I at the right place in my relationship? Am I at the right place in my church or wherever I am? Check if this is the right place. Otherwise, it is going to reduce my capacities enormously and constantly produce stress and unhappiness because I cannot thrive, I cannot flourish, I cannot display my capacities, my power. And then I'm not well enough linked to my being, and then I'm not enough really there. Check with your clients if they are at the right place. And you can check it with them by looking at their feeling, how they feel, how their mood is when they are there, how they feel there, if they feel lively, if they feel empowered, if they feel good, if they feel strong where they are, then they are most probably at the right place. But when they feel reduced, caged, devaluated, pressured, insecure, not accepted, not wanted, then they are not at a good place. Either they try to change the situation by speaking it up, by looking for other conditions and working conditions, etc., or they should change their place and relocate themselves. The consequences, a last implication of this being able to, the consequences of my actions allow me to do at the very least be there, survive. I can walk, I can speak, I can talk in French and repair a car, in the sense of I can survive and be at the respective locations in a way that enables me to deal and thusly cope with its conditions. A maximum of ability is going beyond and creating, accomplishing something more. When I lack the needed strength, or when I'm unable to be under the given conditions, then my motivation is blocked on a basic level because I cannot be. So we can say the connection between capacity and motivation. To experience motivation, life may not be in danger emotionally. And to be motivated means to feel a capacity. I may not get the feeling, then I cannot be. Being able to be is the basis for any motivation. Being able to be. If we have one more look at this capacity, which is based on extrinsic and intrinsic factors, then we see in it the foundation of freedom. There are two types of being able to be, being able to. Having the possibility, having the power, these two legs. The possibility, if there is a piano, I have the possibility to play on it. Having the power and the skill that I'm actually able to play the piano. Freedom now is based on this coming together of possibility and capacity. Freedom is where possibility meets capacity. Being able to is the existential primary form of human being there. interacting with what is given and having to the scope to alter the conditions. This allows me to see the world as a possibility. Only there where I can do something, it appears as a possibility. And places me above mere facticity, opening up a space where I can move freely. I do not have to do it, but I'm able to do it. I can do. Then I see the world as a possibility. This being able to is the foundation of mankind's freedom, the first step to personhood. Being able to is the precondition of being a person. Being able to makes me free. When we put somebody into the prison, we take him or her away capacities, abilities. Then this person is not able to go for a walk when he or she wants. Reducing capacities and abilities, this means prison. It can be the prison of a neurosis, of a psychic disease or disorder. Then this takes me away abilities, and this loosens my connection with the being. I am less there, and this is painful because I am born and came into this world or to this world for being there. This being able to convert the givenness of all things into the world and myself into a being, a person. All what is there becomes world when I'm able. And I become a person with freedom. Therefore, being able to is constituent of being human. It grounds the human being and the reality of their existence. Where humans experience inability, there is no human actuality. It is not their actuality, which is ultimately a possibility. Otherwise, it would only be a brutal, threatening, and powerful mightiness. And when I am able, I am real. Being acting makes me real. Here, we encounter 4 prerequisites. And without these, they cannot become real and cannot happen. Being able needs, first, knowledge of the reality and its determining laws. We have to see the reality, to deal with it, to know it, to recognize it, to recognize the laws of this reality, the physical laws, the chemical laws, the social laws, the economic laws, to see how this world functions. Otherwise, we cannot apply our capacity. It needs an estimation, second, of the needed energy and power. I cannot move a stone with having the weight of a ton just by my hands and arms. I need a machine which has much more energy and power than I have. Of course, I can move little stones. And I can even make 20 push-ups. I have power and energy. But compared to the task of moving a ton of stone, this is relatively too little. So I have to estimate how much energy and power is needed for something. Otherwise, I could fall into a burnout. It is exhausting me. And third, I need to have suitable tools. Ability, from the Latin habilitas, is having tools as an expression of this potential, and to become a possible author of this action. I need a tool to fly, or to ride, or to cross a sea. Then I'm able, when I have the appropriate tool. And fourth, I need a concept, an idea, an internal picture anticipating the action. Otherwise, we cannot really speak of a capacity. A capacity is something which happens within a frame of or a within a concept, within a frame of understanding. Then, when it is corresponding to something intended, to something meaningful, then we speak of a capacity. As we said at the beginning, of course we are capable to make a mistake, but this is not a capacity. A capacity we understand to be something which makes us being creative, contributing to life, to something good, corresponding to a concept or a greater horizon. So being able to already comprises all 4 dimensions of existence in a fractal sense. It gives access to the world and creating reality first. It connects with strength, power, vitality, life. Third, it connects, it opens the freedom, it gives access to freedom, to being an author, to be an authority who is creating. And fourth, it's projecting myself, opening a future. The ability can be hindered in each of these 4 conditions. For instance, in order to walk, we need to have the knowledge of how to do it, knowledge of the ground and the feet, to have the energy, to have experience with gravity, and to have the stamina, the footing, traction, and functioning legs. Furthermore, we need to have a concept, an idea of why we want to start walking. In all of these 4 conditions, an already prepared ability can be hindered. The poor performance can change suddenly into an impossible task. When I want to visit Peter, however, this intention could fail if I lack the necessary knowledge of the actual and current conditions. For instance, my way could be blocked by a crowd of people demonstrating a parade or a move, or the given weather conditions make the streets icy and slippery, making it impossible for me to move on. My ability turns into an inability. This overturn from ability to inability is part of our everyday life experience. Getting stuck in traffic, planning on going to the movies but not getting a ticket, not reaching someone with whom I really want to talk to on the phone, wanting to go out but not finding the keys, arranging a date but getting stood up. For many, the school years are a continuous experience of inability, experiencing setbacks over and over again, difficulties with reading, spelling, singing, acquiring new languages, and more. The inability to complete tasks may be an experience of constant failure and frustration. Heidegger means I am able to means to project myself, to project myself into the future. Simone Weil says very nicely, I can, therefore I am. Rolf Kuhn states that life itself is already a capacity. It is the primary capacity of the human beings as living beings, primary capacity of human beings as living beings to bring forth various forms of activity, drives, power, sensations, and perceptions. There is no perception without an I can. You see, we are now going down into the atomic structure of capacity. Capacity connected with being itself. Each perception which has as a precondition a subject determining the movement and the resistance to oppose is already an effort. A perception is already an I can and an effort. We can say being is ability because I always have the possibility to be actively present in my own being. I can make myself present in what I do. When I'm listening, when I'm singing, when I'm eating, I can myself make present. I can be with my being. Even in the hospital bed, as long as I'm able to come to where I am and relocate myself in my actual world. And so, when we look closely to our being and to our ability to be, then we can say that the experience of being able to be is combined with specific feelings. When I'm able to be, when I'm able, this makes me feel confident. It can give me the feeling of happiness because I feel free and real. And I like I'm actually here. It widens my freedom. I'm less restricted. Sometimes there comes up the question, how do I know that I'm able to do something what I have never done before? How can I know that? I have not experienced. There are several items which help us to know that. We can have a feeling. A feeling on behalf of being able or not able. And because of my experiences and trials, this is how we can find it out. I can have a feeling that, wow, this, I feel the courage, I feel the power, I can oversee the situation, I have similar experiences, I had trials, I know the outcome of these trials, and I can go and start and try this time again. To be able to means to measure myself with the reality. It must be in accordance with reality. And through extrapolation, experiences of similar situations in parallel or experiences of others where I see how others did it can help us to find out. Or extrapolation, if A, B, and C work, D will possibly also work. The prototype are parents encouraging their children. They know what their children can or cannot do. And they know from experience what their child cannot know yet, and therefore can or cannot do. Encouraging is something very helpful to start something what we never did before. But we must be cautious. Encouraging clients qualifies as a professional intervention and has to be scientifically based, well reflected, in the sense of it must be based on perceptions and real capacities. And second, verified by theoretical knowledge. There is a danger of false encouragement due to sympathy or ambition of the counselor. I want to be a good therapist, and so I encourage my client to do something. And this may have bad consequences. And therefore it is important to approach this question of encouragement by looking at the feelings and experiences of the clients and therapists. We can summarize them. The feelings involved with being able to are strength, confidence, courage. It establishes my connection to the present and to the reality. The possibility of either doing it or not doing it makes me feel free. I must have this feeling. If I feel forced, watch it. Feeling free reflects on my potential. Being able to corresponds that this is a state of potentiality. I have a potential. And the potential lies in the midst between being and not being, because what is possible is not yet being. But I have the potential to bring it into the being. I am in the midst of between being and not being. And this gives me power. It is an ontological capacity. This feeling of being able gives me a sign that I can encourage or that I can try to do something. To come to a conclusion, let us look at the significance of capacity. Being able to is the entrance to that what is there. This creates access to what exists in the here and now. It is the door opener to our world. Being able to open new vistas of the world to me. If I'm able to, I can approach this world and enter. Being able to connects me with my being. The more I'm able to, the more I am in this world. Not being able to means not really being in the world I am in, not having access, being on the outside, being excluded. If I cannot do mountain climbing and abseiling, then I cannot go over this rock. I'm excluded, I'm outside, I have no access. When I do not speak French, I cannot speak with a French person. Being able to, another point, to do something represents my potential to be active. It is my ability to make a difference, a power. The opposite of powerlessness. A power to effect. Being able to is the basis for feeling free. Without being able to, there is bondage. I'm forced to do it. If I'm not able to talk, I have to keep silent. Being able to, as a third element, makes us see things as the opportunity they represent. If I feel that I am able to, I can experience creativity and can deal with the existence. It gives me leeway for reality. Being able to enlarges the reality to the spectrum of opportunity. It gives me more reality. I can see the existing and the possible and innovative opportunities which haven't yet been there before. Being able to forms the bridge to being. It is the foundation of existence. because everything we do is a reference to being and is always a contact with reality. Being able means I can exist. I exist. Yeah. So much. Thank you for your attention. Maybe we have a time for one or two questions.
We have one question, Alfred, from Hakim in Libya. He wants to know, what is the difference between capability, ability, skills, and competency? Which term do you prefer in existential analysis and logotherapy?
We need all the terms. You know, capability is what I have trained, what I have the power for. Ability is a bit more the aspect of feeling free to do it. Skill is a specific knowledge. And according to what we are speaking, we use these terms where, as I have to say, that capability and ability are more or less used almost equally. How do you see it, Leslie? Would you say that from your English knowledge? Capability and ability, there is not much difference.
It's close. I think capability is, I'm capable to do this, but maybe I don't have the skill yet, but I'm capable to learn that skill to be able to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me. And in Spanish, for example, ability is everything made by hands. This is ability.
Yeah, it is closer to the Latin understanding, in Spanish.
We also have a question from James. James, do you want to ask your question, please?
Yeah, sure. How can we translate this emphasis on ability or capacity as fundamental to personhood, to those struggling with the effects of ableism? So those discriminated with disabilities, who are discriminated against in favor of like able-bodied people. Sometimes it kind of gets like the more capable a person is, then the more human they can be. And maybe they feel a kind of a discrimination of that on a kind of daily basis. So it could be maybe difficult, even just the language of it could be bring up emotion.
But of course there is, as we have seen today, there is some truth in it. Disabled persons are not capable to walk or to work or to study, or they are simply not capable. And therefore, they are not so useful for the society, etc. But we must say that knife can be used for cutting bread or for killing people. Capability is neutral in itself, but it provides a value. But the value of the human being as a person is not dependent from capability. The human being has a dignity even when the human being is not capable to do anything, is just laying in the bed, old, sick, disabled, or handicapped, whatever, even in the coma. There, the human being has still a dignity, because the human being is an autonomous being and has a freedom where they decide by themselves and have a life which is not made by themselves, but which is given to them. And all this together makes them, gives them a value which transcends all measures and all countings. But of course, in the world of countings and in the world of economy, A higher capability is paid more, better than a lower capability. There are differences on a positivistic way, on a factual level, but on the human level, on the level of a personhood, this value is unconditional. This is a very good differentiation. Thank you for this question. Yeah, thank you.
Can we take one more question, you think, Alfred?
Sure.
I have two more questions, but let's see. Magda, do you want to ask your question? Magda?
Yes, I was asking, how does fear intercedes or gets in the capacity of being? Because sometimes we pass a fear and we are still able to be there. So how do you differentiate that? I don't know if you can understand me.
Yeah, I spoke a little bit about fear today, about anxiety and fear as the experience of the danger of not being able to be any longer, to fall out of the being. When we drive too fast in the car, we may get scared and feel the anxiety that we can have an accident and kill ourselves or others, etc. These are realistic fears, and they show us the limits of our being, that our being is in a very improbable state. Being alive is an improbable state. The probable state, the most probable state is being dead. This is a stable state, but life is an unstable state. And therefore we are constantly in danger that we can fall out of our being alive. Fear and anxieties help us to recognize where the dangers are. And they may stop us in our capacities. When we have too much fear, we may not even remember what we learned during an exam, for instance, because emotionally, existentially, we are occupied with a survival issue, and to remember some numbers or figures are relatively not important to this survival situation which we experience. And it's clear, it's blocked, that our memory is blocked and we have a blackout because of fear. So fear can block our capacities when we are dealing with just survival. Fear and anxiety says, something can happen what I do not want, and I cannot be anymore. It refers to my being itself, in short, to speak about. Fear is, of course, a very big theme.
We have one, thank you, Magda. We have one last question maybe we can address really quickly. Marilyn? Marilyn, are you there?
Hi.
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 Hi. Yes, it's having to do with you're having said that when we can focus on being, our being, and not focus on what's around us, having to do with more of the inner focus. I'm wondering about lack of, say lacking the possibility of staying with being when in the company of others. You know, the difference between having that presence alone versus in the company of others.
You mean that the company of others may stimulate me or may endorse me in that sense?
I may lose the focus on being. I may just lose that in the company of others because...
Yeah, when the company of others is, let's say, scaring me or pressuring me in that sense?
Sure, it could be any of that and more.
Yeah, this can happen. Then the company of others is endangering my being there. And this may reduce my capacities in that situation, because when I am in danger, all my power, capacity, attention is drawn towards how can I survive? How can I get out of this threatening, unpleasant company where I feel so bad? How can I not lose my face? How can I show them what is important, what matters to me, what we should do, and say, do not let me do it. And so then I'm focused to apply all my capacities to be there, to protect myself, to strengthen myself, to strengthen my position, and to maybe even fight the aggressors and push them back to survive. And so the other capacities like playing piano, I forget about them. Is that what you meant? That yeah.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Alfred, some people wanted to know if you could send me a PDF of the chart that you had on your screen share, then I can send an email out for them.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
I can do that.
Wonderful as usual. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I really appreciate everyone's input and questions, and help on technology is wonderful. And we will see you July 12th. I will send out a link for today's video within 24 hours. So thank you so much. We'll see you next month.
See you too. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Wonderful.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Gracias.
Bye.
Alfred.